Hey guys, welcome back to Driven Channel, and I have a very important, I'm very excited for having Garrett White. So we've been talking for a while,
A long time.
and I like, you know what I like about you, your track record and your realness. And what I mean by track record is, a lot of people can fake it and lie,
Yeah.
and then next week you find out, oh, they're completely broke, they lost it all.
Yeah.
I like how you're always so real about your stories, and you're always telling people like, hey, this is going on. Hey, you know what? I'm having these issues, because I think people learn from that more than when you're not. And I don't know. I can relate a lot to that. And then you told me about like you being in the mortgage too and all that.
Yeah.
You have a wife. You guys do a lot of work together.
Yes.
You have a lot of kids.
Yes.
Like me. So I can relate to a lot of things. So I just want to thank you, man, for being part of this. I'm very excited. And then to get started, who is Garrett White? Where does Garrett White come from? And how has the journey been?
Well, we're gonna start off with two things. One, Garrett White became Garrett J. White. We're gonna throw J in for the rest of the show, and here's why it matters. Two things. One, the first time I switched from Garrett White to Garrett J. White, it was not for any other reason than I couldn't remember how to log into GoDaddy with the right email credentials to get access to GarrettWhite.com. So at that time, I bought GarrettJWhite.com. Now, J. White became like a new identity shift.
Yeah.
Like it just did. So there was Garrett White, the mortgage guy. Then there was like 4 years of trying to find myself wandering in the desert after losing everything. And then there was Garrett J. White that was reborn as this new guy, this new creature. And it was the first time I ever recognized that you could make a decision to say, here's who I am. And that fucking guy doesn't work anymore. Like,
Yeah.
he fundamentally just does not work. And the truth was, I stepped back. I wasn't the best husband. I wasn't the best father. I wasn't the best man. I wasn't the best fit guy. I was like addicted and obsessed with making money, and that's it. So when that was gone, I had nothing.
Yeah.
Just a reset, a recalibration for who I wanted to be.
Was this 2008?
Yep.
So 2008, you lost everything, and
Yep.
were you like overweight or?
No, I never have been. I mean, listen, I've got soft. I've never experienced being overweight. So my wife says I'm fat racist, if that's even a thing. I don't even know how you be fat racist. I have a family that's very obese.
Yeah.
My whole family is obese except for a few people.
Yeah.
And I just kind of have a thing with being obese. I'm just like, God, what the fuck? So I've never had that experience. But inside of it, it's just not taking care of my body, from addictions to just the way that I played life. Like after we lost everything, we left the religion we were raised in. Me and Danielle were in like the worst place we'd ever been in a marriage as a couple. Not sure if we were going to stay together. Having our babies, we had another baby thinking that would solve the situation. I can't pay the bills. I'm millions of dollars upside down. All of my teams are gone. And the wildest part is that through all the time I'm taking care of everyone, which I fucking tried to save everybody for years, no one shows up. 2008, no one shows up.
Yeah.
Everybody's fucking gone. That's why I was gone on the last 2 years in the mortgage industry, and I'm watching people. I'm like, oh, fuck. I know what it's like to be in that time. It is fucking spicy, dude. How are you handling this transition with all these rates?
Well, I believe that right now we're like it's like as close as 2008. Could be even worse. And the reason why I say that is because 2020, and 2021, it made it easy for anybody to win in mortgages because rates were 2%, 2.5%, 3%. So a lot of people, a lot of wannabes, a lot of people faking success because it was easy. They were getting Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Rolls Royces, Bentleys, and they were just closing 20 loans a month, 15 loans a month, making 100,000, 150,000 a month, very easy.
Yeah.
Because times were at the peak of easiness.
Yeah.
Not because they were great. So what happened is all of a sudden the market starts changing to the worse. So then rates start going up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then these people just lose everything and quit.
Yeah.
So what I was telling, because somebody asked me this earlier, and I'm thinking, and they asked me like, hey, Albert, so how's it going? Like, do you like, are you ready for the times to get good again? And how do you feel about it right now? And I told him, I feel like the best. I feel like these are great times. I love him because when you make times the most difficult, level of pain that you can handle, only people like me and you
Yeah.
are able to pivot.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned about last year being like a tough year for you.
Yeah.
Like you pivot.
Yeah.
But your competitors or your wannabe competitors, they don't stand a chance. So like I'm enjoying this because I'm seeing like all these people like that thought they could be better than me. I mean, they're not even close to they're not even in the same league. So right now I'm enjoying a lot of them suffer and go out of business because some of these people betrayed me. Some of these people said Albert's going to go out of business. Albert's not going to be able to make it. Albert is wrong. So I enjoy it. I don't know if this makes sense, but I enjoy this because like I'm the type that if I'm in the army, I want it as difficult as possible because I want to make sure that I'm going to be number one. I'm going to be the winner. So I enjoy it, and the longer it stays like this, the better for me because it's fun. I like battles.
Well, and listen, deals are always going down. Like I think it's the part that people forget. Like when the market contracts or market constricts, the only people it gets rid of are fakers.
Yep.
The only people it gets rid of in the real estate and mortgage space are rape artists. Rapists of an industry.
Yeah.
Like, and let's be straight. Let's go OG style back in the day. You were into mortgages too. I remember sitting on a VA home loan. We got a stack of leads. That's how I started mortgages.
Yeah.
A stack of fucking phone numbers of people who had VA home loans. And then we would smile into, I wore a suit. It was too big for me down in the basement. I had a picture of my wife sitting on the thing. I felt official because I was a PE teacher. I'd come from nothing. I had no money. My friend showed me a check. He made like $4,000 in a week. I couldn't fucking believe that was even possible. So I'm like, fuck this. I'm in the mortgage industry. I'm out of this teaching game. And I'm sitting smiling and dialing, smiling and dialing. I remember this woman on the phone. We're reducing people's interest rates from 9 and 9.75 to like 9.
Yeah.
And she calls me, or she tells me on the phone, listen, sweetheart, why don't you call me when rates get to 8? I was talking out of my ass. I didn't know what the fuck I was saying. I was just like a rookie on the phones. I was like, lady, it'll be a cold day in hell before rates get to 8%. You're missing out on a big opportunity. Here we are at 2%. That's why, like, I'm like, the industry of brokers that have got to play the game now, I'm like, bro, we were slamming phones and killing it when rates were at 8, 9, 9.5. Like, people, they don't get that. Now, the fun part is it doesn't really matter, though. It doesn't matter if you're 2 at 5 at 9. People are going to buy real estate. People are going to move into real estate. People have to have money to move into real estate. Very few human beings, and even the ones that can, refuse to pay cash for real estate. They're all going to leverage money. It's never going to fucking stop. The only thing that stops are pussies that can't play the game, which is great because players don't have to trip over the body bags of all the pussies in the way that keep fucking all these deals up anyways, that just lowball and pull Walmart-style bullshit strategies for, oh, there's going to fucking cut rates, cut my fees, cut my fees, cut my fees, cut my fees. Fuck Albert, he doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah, these same people, we're going to Trader Joe's now.
Yeah. You nailed it right there.
Trader fucking Joe's. That's where most of you are going if you don't get your shit straight.
So going back, so 2006, because I remember 2005 and 6,
killing it.
We're kind of like 2021, but instead of the rates being 2.5, you had negative arms, option arms.
Option arms.
You give a.
Do they even do that loan anymore?
No way. And I remember that, and then stated income.
No income. We had stated income. We had no income, no asset. Nina loans.
Yeah. Those were the ninja loans.
Ninja loans. We just made. Well, listen. Here's the reality of where we were by 2007. This is how it went. I had a department in my. I was one signature away from prison. Legit. Like people were raising money. So listen, we were young and fucking retarded. This is a word people don't like to hear me say, but retarded is a function of the mind not operating correctly in its thinking that causes you to do and be different than what is the norm.
Yeah.
That's where we were. Now you say, well, how did that happen? The banks trained us. I had a department of people who signed documents. That was their job. Now, how did we get a department of people that sign documents? It's easy. The bank's underwriters would send loan applications back to us. And they would say, we need it to say A, B, and C. We would say, what are you talking about? That's all we're going to say. We just need to say A, B, and C. How about you resubmit? We figured we're young. We want to get paid. They want to get in the home.
Yeah.
The bank wants to get paid. The bank's the one that controls the money. They're telling us to change it. We're reading between the lines, which became, we just started signing for people.
Yeah.
Like, we just didn't even know any different. Dude, I'm in my late 20s, bro. I got a team of kids all in their mid-20s. What the fuck do we know? We don't know anything. We're all like hoodlums that came from nothing. We're just selling shit with suits that are too baggy for us. We don't know. We're like wearing NBA basketball cool. This was long before the cool tight-ass slacks that everybody's wearing with their fits. We didn't have fucking fits back then. We thought we were NBA basketball players, so we're baggy suits. That whole game, though, blew up on me and my company because I did not live by a code. I had no code. My code was money. That was my code. If we got paid, fuck it. Let's go. If they got paid, we got paid, and the bank said go, we got paid, great. The reason I lost was because I didn't have, I wasn't even close to it, like the kind of entrepreneur you are. Like, not even close. I was 31 years old, fucking no idea what I was doing, no concept, no personal development, no team around me, no mentors around me, nobody guiding me. There was me leading the ship.
Yeah.
So when it imploded, the lies were exposed. The banks were exposed. The brokers were exposed. The borrowers were exposed. Everybody was exposed. There was just no truth. There's no truth.
Yeah.
That was the single most important thing missing from my life in 2007 and 8.
You talked about addictions. Were you like doing drugs?
Drinking. Alcohol was always my thing. Yeah.
No drugs?
No drugs. No heavy drugs.
So see, we're a little. You never tried like weed?
Oh, well, marijuana,
Cocaine?
Cocaine, no. Like once or twice, but it was never like, it was never serious.
So like, for the record, I don't do cocaine anymore. I know I have some videos about cocaine, but I stopped it. I have a story about it, but it was quite a lot of years ago. But we're about 7, I think we're 7 years apart. Mm-hmm. And so I think I'm 25 and, wait, I'm 25, I'm 24, 25, you're 31.
Yeah.
And this is around 2007.
Yep.
And this is when everything's just going to hell, kind of like what happened recently in real estate and mortgage. So everything's changing, like from the ultimate easy to the ultimate hard.
Yeah.
And my addiction was women, alcohol, and then I didn't really like all the other drugs. Like I tried they used to call them mollies.
Ecstasy. Yep.
I did some weed. I didn't really like weed or ecstasy, though. I would just kind of go out, party clubs, Club Avalon right here, and all the Hollywood clubs. But I didn't really like those. But I didn't drink till I was 19. So I was never a drinker until I went to college. That's another story. So then I would go out, drink, and I would try to hook up every night when I used to go out to the clubs.
Yeah.
And then my friends, they kept insisting, hey, you got to try this, you got to try this, you got to try this, cocaine. For like a year and a half, I kept saying no. I was scared to put anything up my nose. So then one day, this guy, he convinces me.
Okay.
And I remember this guy, his name is Sam. And he's like, hey, try it. And it was like 2 a.m. I'm at my house, got some girls over. We're drinking. We're so hammered. And I'm like, fuck, let me try it. So I tried it. I was addicted for like a year and a few months, more or less, something like that.
Daily?
And not daily, no. Oh. So what I would do is at like Thursdays or Fridays, I would go get my 8-ball.
Yep.
And then that was my 8-ball for the weekend.
Smash it over the weekend.
Yeah. And I would, and it was fun.
Were you sleeping?
A
little bit.
Bro, I was so fucking crazy.
Yeah,
like,
bro, you're wild as fuck.
I would have a girl in the morning. I would kick her out. Girl would come at noon for lunch. Then I'd kick her out. Then a girl would come in the nights to go out. And it was my cycle. And then one time I remember that I was doing coke, and I think I got a couple of 8-balls, and we created like a little heart in the glass, in a mirror. And then we stayed up all night.
Yeah.
And it was like, and this is why I lost everything in 2008. I was a reckless fucking idiot.
Yeah.
So
you run a mortgage company then too, yeah?
I wasn't running it. I was just a loan officer.
A broker.
Yeah. And so so we did so much coke, and we were listening to music, and like it was. We had a lot of fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
I don't. It was very fun, but I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. But if I can go back and enjoy like the highest pleasure moments that I had, I highly recommend those pleasure moments. But I highly recommend stay away from drugs if you're watching this. Stay away from drugs because some people can't make it out. So that day I stayed up, and then I had this genius idea that hey, we've been up all night, doing cocaine and drinking, and I told my buddy, hey, we should go play soccer. So we have this idea, and because they would have soccer on Saturdays, I guess it was like Friday night. We stayed up, and the soccer game is at 12. It's scorching hot, sunny, and we're going to go play a soccer game, 2-hour soccer game. You pay 45 minutes, 15-minute break, and another 45 minutes. So we're going to go play soccer.
No sleep for 36 hours.
No sleep, yeah. All coked out, drinking.
Out,
I even had a great idea.
Liquor.
They picked us up.
No food either.
I picked up a 6-pack of beers, and we went to play the soccer game. So I was playing, and we made it. We made it through the soccer game. I almost died because I went so much cocaine, and then my heart was, because when you play soccer, you sprint.
Yes.
You come back, and then in the sun. So I did so many stupid things like that.
Yeah.
Like driving, like I remember one time I got a DUI. I started driving I was driving in Pasadena, Colorado Boulevard, and I was so fucked up, blacked out, that I drove into the sidewalk, and then I got off. I started playing basketball, and so many crazy stories that I have. But that was 2007. I was just kind of like, I saw the world coming to an end.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to party my life away. I'm going to spend whatever I have left, which all my cards were maxed out. So I was trying to figure out what to get. But I was very good in sales like you. Yeah. So I could still get girls. And I would even trick girls. Like I don't know if you partied in Hollywood, but I used to go to this club called Ledoux. Very famous club, Ledoux. And I used to trick girls, and I used to tell them that I'm Oscar de la Hoya. Because I had a spiky hair. Yeah. And I kind of resembled him a little bit. So I would tell girls, I'm Oscar de la Hoya at the bar. They would believe me. And they were drinking. And then I would say, we're going to go to my house in the Hollywood Hills. Party. By the time the club was over, they were all fucked up. We were all fucked up. All we wanted to do is go have sex. And then, you know what? It's faster here. Let's just get a hotel here, whatever, or in the car. But it was crazy. So that's why I lost everything in 2008. Because I think if I would have had the right guidance mentor, if I would have been like good head on my shoulders, more mature, I would have killed it.
But you were in your late 20s, right?
25. I was 25. You were 31.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. I mean, it's like, listen, in your 20s, there's only so much capacity to even think about like life. Then you fast forward to you 40 and 3 daughters and a wife. It's like the game is, it's almost like I look back at who I was and I look at who I am now, and it's like I would never have lost my companies. Just like you right now making the moves you're making. Like I would have never lost them. It's the same thing I told you last spring. Like Danielle came to me and was like out of her own tuition. Like we've been together for 22 years, and like her ability to know when to course correct our relationship or course correct our family or even course correct our businesses or just cross-check me with our kids, etc. It's rough.
Yeah.
I'm going to lie. Like, one of our pastors, like recently we had an experience. He's like, you're a lion and your wife's the lion tamer. And I was like, yeah, it's not a lie. There's no discrepancy. That's pure truth.
Yeah.
And she collided so heavy and so hard and so unrelenting with me as my wife last spring. But had she not done it, like I had committed to some things in business, just like you. Anyone that's playing this game at a high level and fast, you're rolling dice.
Yeah.
You're strategic, but you're rolling fucking dice. You don't know 100%. You never know if everything's going to work out. You're just fucking rolling the dice. But you're strategically rolling in a container of control, saying, okay, I'm going to make these guesses on these variables, and I'm going to roll the dice on this. I'm going to assure these 2 things, but I'm going to roll here. And sometimes you get in a window where you're like, fuck it. I've got an opportunity to roll on A, B, and C. I'm going to split the deck. Let's go. Double down. Roll, roll, roll. And I had 3 different rolls that I'd made, 3 different gambles. All 3 fucking didn't work. So I don't want to see this, though.
Yeah.
I don't want to accept that that's what's happening. So the solution becomes simple, which is just fucking keep hitting the gas. I'm like, I'm going to fucking keep hitting the gas and making this work. So Danielle, like, colliding with me was hard, but it also gave me the ability to see. Like, to see some shit. But it's hard. Like, I think being married to you or being married to me is one of the hardest fucking games in the game.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, being married to you, fucking hard. Being
Scary.
married to me, fucking hard.
Do you scare your wife a lot?
Of course. Yeah, I'm scared of my wife, too. My pastor has my master and our therapist is like, hey, are you intimidated? Because my wife makes a couple million a year by herself. And she's like, when I grow up, I want to be like my wife. Because she has figured out, like, I need one of me in my life. Like, she got me, which means I'm covering her ass and doing different things over here. Plus, she's got our teams, etc. But, like, in her world, she's done and accomplished more than most women that I know. She can work when she wants, how she wants, where she wants. She makes several $1 million a year take home. She's created 4 human beings and pushed them out of her body. She raises our kids and spends half her week with our children. She's gorgeous and beautiful and physically fit and does her thing. She's spiritually connected and does, like, to me, when I'm intimidated at a certain level as a man by who she is as a woman. And guys hear me say this, like, you fucking cuck, dude. You fucking pussy. I'm like, yeah, I get it, Tinder boy. I've been married for 22 years to a woman who's a fucking savage. I'm not trying to go around and fuck. Like, fucking is not the agenda here. Like, I'm trying to build an empire with a woman who's invested in me as a woman to make sure that I don't fuck the kingdom up.
Yeah.
The empire doesn't exist if the king destroys the kingdom.
Yeah.
But it's hard. I don't know. I mean, dude, come on. I've met your wife. She's not sitting back. She's like running as integrator in your world. You're the visionary. You get to have all of the experience of creative flow, but she's going to cross-check you when it comes to the details and discipline, or no?
A lot, all the time, yeah.
And how you take it?
Well, we clashed a lot, and we were bumping heads a lot.
Yeah.
And then I was telling you the story of how we met with the Bilyeux.
Yeah.
So we met with Tom Bilyeux and Lisa Bilyeux. And this was like 2.5 years ago. We're at their house up the street. And we asked Lisa, hey, did you and Tom ever like clash heads, or did you guys fight a lot when you were going through that exit, when you sold the Quest Nutrition for $1 billion? And then they start laughing. And then Lisa tells us, read this book. So this book I highly recommend to everybody. Read this book, Rocket Fuel, and take the assessment test. And to find out, are you more fit to be an operator, an integrator they call it, which is an operator, or a visionary, CEO. So then we read the book, and then we're like, you know, when you hear it from somebody that's like a billionaire or somebody that sold a company for $1 billion, you're like, maybe they're right.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, well, we got to understand that we have different roles and different strengths. So you're going to stay on your lane. I'll stay on my lane. You operate the shit out of these 4 businesses, and I am just going to be the visionary, and I'm going to focus on growth, on culture, on sales, on recruiting, on the vision. And then once we did that 2.5 years ago, we just understood. And then she let me do my crazy shit, which one of them was to get this whole floor. Yeah. You know, so like I had an idea, and I'm the visionary, and I'm like, hey, I got a great idea. So I always have crazy, great ideas that I think are great. And some of them, sometimes they fail, but sometimes I hit a home run.
Yeah.
So I told her, we're going to get the office space. And then we're like looking at the office space, $100,000 a month. And then I'm thinking, and then she's like, we should get half. That way, get the smaller half. The smaller half is going to be like, you know, like 40,000 a month, better than the 100. And I'm like, no, we're going to get everything. So I just jump in, get it, sign the papers, put the deposit. We're going to roll. And I'm thinking like, damn, mortgage and real estate, they're going to keep like going up, you know, it's going to get crazier, easier. We're going to make so much money. We're going to 10X. We're going to have more salespeople. And, you know, I was wrong. The mortgage and the real estate industry got hit hard, as we all know. And then boom, then now we're stuck with all this. So then she's like, you know, like I'm sure she's scared and she wants to like kick my ass, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, well, and she's like, well, you did it. You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, well, let me put my hat up back on and let me get to work. And then that's when I pivoted, where, you know, people like us, we know how to pivot and we find solutions. And I think one of our superpowers is we accept that we fucked up, and then we got to clean it up.
Yeah.
And that's the difference with most people. Most people, they get scared, they panic, and they die.
Oh, they panic and blame, right?
Blame others.
Blame, or they isolate, right? They don't tell the truth. They isolate from what's really going on. And that was me. Like, I was like in 2008 and 9, I didn't tell anyone what was going on. Danielle didn't even know we were fucked. She had no idea I'd even let anyone go. She had no idea. And I made the worst mistake, which is I took all our personal money and I tried to save the business.
Yeah.
So not only had I drained all the funds in the business, like we had gotten to a place like we came back, and I remember my guys were telling me in December of 2007, they're like, bro, we're fucked. And I'm like yelling at them, get focused, because I hadn't really been on the phones and sold shit for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So I come back in the first week of January, and I'm like, all right, let me show these bitches how it's done. And I get on the phone and I start getting on with borrowers and dealing with the banks, etc. And I'm like, oh shit. We're about a week. I do this for about a week, 5-6 days. I'm like, okay, they're not fucking around, dude. This is a problem. And like, this is a big problem. And I didn't know how big of a problem it was. By the end of January 2008, my business partner calls me in and he says, listen, dude, you got to let it go. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, dude, we're fucking done. I was like, what do you mean we're fucking done? He's like, we're done. We had millions in commissions that never came in from closed transactions that never funded, because the banks that we were dealing with, all these wholesale banks that were all option arm, interest-only loan banks, which was big jam and deal back then, and all their primary funding lines, it cut them off. So even though the transactions had gone through, no commissions came through. So I'm sitting there literally letting guy after guy go, with grown men weeping, screaming, how am I going to feed my children? How am I going to do this? This is all happening. She has no clue this is going on. So the teams, I'm letting all the teams go. We're letting everyone go. And then I'm thinking, if I can just get us over this hump magically somehow. So I start pulling all of our personal cash and start trying to fund the business, thinking, we're going to get out of this. We're going to get out of this. Because I'd never known anything different. I'm like, we're going to get out of this. We're going to get out of this. Then I start tapping all of our credit cards. We're going to get out of this. We're going to get out of this. And then it was too fucking late.
So I was saying,
we're like done. I was like, we got fucking nothing. So I come home to her and she's getting concerned because she's like, normally American Express bills are being paid off. Now the American Express bills are showing up. They're not being paid off. She's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what's happening? I was like, we're fine. We're fine. We're fine. And then like you were talking about, I was like, I was that guy. We're good. We're good. If social media was even a thing, I'd have been like, hey, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're totally good. And then like Monday morning, we're fucking done. Yep. Yeah, we're done. Or like the couples that are like, I love my spouse. She's so amazing. She's the greatest ever. We're just power couple. Monday morning, we really appreciate all of your prayers and your love and concern in this hard time with us now as we've chosen to get divorced. And it's going to be best as a co-parenting. What the fuck happened to Friday with you guys in Cabo? Supposedly the happiest couple of all goddamn time, you lying assholes. That was me.
yeah.
So Danielle has no idea. And then I tell her what's going on. She can't even register what's going on. And I couldn't even register what's going on because it was my first time. I'd never been an entrepreneur before. And it was like 8 years of just insanity. And then I was like, all right, how am I gonna even fucking handle this? So now though, what I didn't recognize then that I recognize now was I just didn't know how to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't be honest. And like so many of us lose the relationship, we lose the money, we lose the business, we lose our children who don't talk to us anymore, don't communicate with us anymore because we can't tell the truth. And telling the truth seems to be some kind of like virus. Like I laugh in my events with Warrior because I'm like, I'll sit with like a room full of 100 guys, powerful businessmen, and I'll say, it's fucking hilarious that I have built a brand that for 12 years I've sold almost $100 million in coaching programs, products and services to fundamentally teach men to do one thing. Stop fucking lying. The fact that I can even sell something like that we have to teach a man how to not lie, that's even a thing.
Yeah.
That's not even like a default, but it is. And most guys hide, lie, sedate, and I don't think they do it maliciously. It's not on purpose. My experience in most guys are not trying to. There are some assholes, but most guys aren't trying to do that.
Yeah.
Most guys in finance, most guys in mortgages, and there's hundreds of mortgage brokers right now fucking destroyed. Cars are being repoed, houses are being short sold, like done. And it's not because of the industry. It's because they won't tell the truth and they won't pivot.
I think pivot is huge, and there's way more than hundreds. There's like, I would say 90-something% of them right now. And
I believe it.
But Garrett, talk about 2008-9. So you go through a hard time, you lose it all. So how did you pivot with your wife? Like, how did you pivot?
Oh, wow.
Because I'm pretty sure she was not the happiest with you.
No.
And especially when the American Express, was not working and all that stuff. So how did you pivot and how did you save the relationship and get back on track?
So Danielle, I'll tell you.
How many kids did you have back then?
Back then we had 2. So my son wasn't in our relationship. So I had a son, my son with my ex, Christy, and he had lived in Canada up until the time he was 18. At 18, he moved to California and moved in with us. And now, like, Danielle is like his mom, which is weird because his mom doesn't talk to him anymore, and his biological mother doesn't. And his relationship now for the last 5 years has been with Danielle, and Danielle is like mom, to the point that, like, he will go to her about shit he doesn't even come to me about, like, constantly. So at the time, though, he wasn't in our world. We didn't have the 2 younger babies, Isla and Charlie. We had our 16-year-old and our 13-year-old. Those two, or a 17-year-old, 13-year-old, those 2 at the time were, let's see, so Bailey was born in 2007, and then we had Ruby 4 years later in 2011, so we just had Bailey. And then during that...
So you had a 2-year-old?
We had a 2-year-old.
When you were going through all that?
When it started happening, she was less than a year old when things started unraveling. So my 2 older daughters were raised in complete chaos.
Did you feel bad because of your, especially the one that's barely going to be 1? And
oh, bro, I was a fucking mess. I was a fucking mess, dude. I was a mess. I had no one to talk to. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know how to talk about. I didn't know how to even admit it. This was my first time ever being an entrepreneur. I'd never had any failure before.
You were the owner you were the broker?
Broker owner, founder, everything gone, everybody, and both my partners filed bankruptcy, so all debt rolled up on me. Any money I made was automatically drafted.
How many loan officers did you have?
100 plus.
100 plus, and
Yes.
and how much were you making top line revenue, more or less?
Top line
Right
revenue.
before the storm.
Well, we made money on 3 different angles. So we were making money on life insurance contracts. We were making money on coaching fees, which means we charged $2,500 up front to do a loan transaction. So to even do any business with us was $2,500 up front, and then we were making 4 to 5 points per loan transaction.
Sometimes 6 on the negams.
Yes, sometimes 6 on the negams. At the time, I mean, dude, we were doing like
You were making a lot of millions.
We were making millions, dude, and it fluctuated back and forth, but we were making millions of dollars doing this. And the game itself contracted so quickly. I was left like, I just was left dazed and confused. Like walking down the street in a nice neighborhood, and all of a sudden somebody jumps out of a bush and just fucks you up real good. And you're like,
did you have a lot of cars and watches and all that stuff?
Everything gone. But at the time, dude, remember, I was raised in Mormonism, so I had a different frame for life.
Yeah.
Like I probably gave more money to the church than I spent on myself.
Yeah.
In many ways. And we had a nice house, we had the cars, and we had Range Rovers. We had the things at the time, not like we do right now, but we had money and we had a life. But I didn't even know how to enjoy life back then. So it all leaves. We'd lose it all. And then Danielle and I end up in a rental that her parents convince their friends to rent to us with an unfinished basement. And Danielle and I can't talk, really. And this is when I create the worst decision on top of an already series of worst decisions, which is I start having an emotional relationship with a woman that I was coaching and teaching at the time. And this led to cheating. And that entire scenario blew up. in like the most disgustingly ridiculous way for me. Like it was the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. I weighed 170 pounds. I was running literally every single day, ultra marathons, just running, getting skinnier and skinnier and skinnier. Danielle and I were completely disconnected and dysfunctional. She had gotten pregnant again this had happened when she was pregnant with our daughter, Ruby. Our thought was if we have another baby, maybe we can connect together. And the truth was, if Danielle was who she is now or who she's been in the last 8-9 years, she would have never tolerated any of this. But the truth was, if I was a guy that I am now, we would have never gone through any of this. So it's a hard game. Like, we walked in darkness for about 4 years. Like, it was really fucking rough. And Danielle launched the brand, DKW Styling and Natural Beauty Rose, her hair extension brand, which became an 8-figure brand itself by herself. She launched that with a desire to leave me. And she should have. Like, the fact that she stayed with me at the time is either God destined or just she was too young and too scared to leave. Because I wasn't showing up, I wasn't providing, I wasn't protecting, and I was violating trust and respect. Like, everything was fucked up. Like, to this day, dude, I look back at the situation and I'm like, God, I was such a disgusting fucking human being. So weak as a man. Like if myself walked in right now to myself and I'm sitting down with myself having a talk, I'm just like, do you realize how big of a fucking pussy you are right now? There's a reason your wife doesn't want to fuck you. You're unfuckable. Take your clothes off. Look at yourself in the mirror. The fuck is wrong with you? But I didn't have anyone to tell me this.
Yeah.
I had a religion that was nothing but guilt, shame, obligation, constant fucking persecution of unworthiness, and all of this shame from losing everything and no idea what to do about it. No clue. And this is right now. Like, you got a ton of mortgage guys and gals following you on this show for sure. And there are a ton of them right now facing fucking death's front door, no different than I was. The money's running out. They're not skilled enough to get shit done. They don't have mentors to work with. They don't have coaches in their world. They don't have an operating system for truth.
A lot of them are already out of money. They're like
Negative on credit cards, and they have nothing. Like, had someone like you been in my world to try to guide me at that time, I had the balls to go. I just didn't know what the fuck to do. I didn't even have the psychology. I didn't have anyone in my world to even help me with my psychology. Podcasting and this shit wasn't even happening.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing this. Todd Duncan was doing the weekly coffee with Todd. It was a 5-minute video we were so impressed by, and it was like a happy, clappy, motivational message. There was nothing. All this free shit that everybody gets now, it's like, now I think it's the opposite. There's so much free shit that everybody just listens. It goes in one ear and out.
It's funny because I had a relationship with Todd. I was part of the Master Elite group, the top 30 LOs in the country. Yeah, and we would all travel together and all that. But yeah, I love Todd. He helped me a lot. But when that's going on, you know, like, what do you think made you like cheat? And second, why do you think your wife forgave you? And then I'll add a third one. From there on, how do you guys blow up again and start being very successful together?
Yeah.
Because that's a lot. That's a lot of emotion right there. Like all that. It's like a roller coaster.
It's a lot. I mean, Danielle and I, we were sitting. We went to so we're like, I would say, because of the way we were raised religiously, we never really had a relationship with Christ.
She was Mormon too?
Yeah, but she was like, she was Mormon by default, meaning it wasn't really, she's never really been like church, even like the conversation. God has been a thing for her, but it's never been like, it was never like her thing. But because it was my thing, she was like, okay, I'll do it. So when I choose in that window, like, I hear this voice like come to me in 2009. It's like, you're done. Like, you're done. Leave the church. People hear this and like, that's impossible. Mormons hear this and like, that's not true. That's false. It was the devil's voice, etc. There was a pursuit that God was chasing me with that I couldn't see at the time. So fast forward just a couple nights ago, Danielle and I are standing together in a prayer session with Dr. Maiden, who's like the mentor to our pastor, Pastor Mark Francie at Oceans Church here in Orange County. And He's a prophetic that prays over people. This is new shit for us. We don't understand this. And Danielle and I are sitting there together just like weeping for like an hour straight. As like this guy is just like speaking truth over us. And there was just so much that like I didn't know how to say. I didn't even know what I wanted. I didn't even know how to listen. Like my heart goes out to so many men and so many women who just have no outlet. And the problem is a lot of times even in the church, there's no place for this kind of conversation.
Yeah.
This kind of truth, you talking about what you're talking about, there was nothing. And so I hid it. And hiding it is what caused all the fucking problems. It's what started the nightly and daily drinking. It's what started the cheating. It's what started everything. Everything was this emotional expression of pain without being able to talk about it. So how did she overcome it? We'll get to ask her on the show together as couples. Like, but her decision, I tell you, was God-driven. Like the only way that she could have was because she felt something in her heart for a bigger vision for who we were. Mm-hmm. I look back at who that guy was. I'm disgusted by who he was. But he's not who I am.
We'll ask her, but I think she really loved you and she saw something that maybe you didn't see in you.
I would imagine that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think she's seen something from the beginning. She still does, even when I fucking forget, even when I've fucked it up so bad, even this last spring, bro. Like I'm telling you, like even the podcast we were listening to on the drive down here, we're listening to our own podcast, and it's basically like a 90-minute war live that we just shared with everybody. And I'm like, this woman, and this is what this pastor, he spoke over us. He's like, you're a lion and God has built you to take territory. And she is a lion tamer who has the keys to not taming you, but to guiding you. And that your home is a home to build and breed champions, which is true. Our kids are super freaks. So like at the time, I don't know how she did it.
Yeah.
I think there was a combination of she was young. She didn't have the money. She couldn't have left if she wanted to. She was worried about taking care of the kids. And so I look at that as a benefit in my favor at the time. Because if she is who she is now, if I cheated now, it's over. It's gone. It's done. And vice versa. It's the other same way that goes the other direction too.
And you know, you talked a lot about the life of an entrepreneur and how there's always ups and downs no matter how much you grow.
Yeah.
I know that last year was a very big year for you, and I heard you say that it was that you learned probably like it was like 10 years of experience last year in one, and you went through a lot. Can you talk about why and like why was last year so special for you?
We have been working as a couple towards a vision. We've been working in our businesses towards a vision. We've been working towards a new life as a brand. And this movement with Wake Up Warrior has been like something I have been pushing so hard for so long, to bring what I found as the tools that gave me a chance to see and breathe as a man. Like what was it that I needed to be able to live in truth? Mm-hmm. So we've been pushing with this for so long, and I've been so committed. I'm $10 million plus into our software app. Like we have thousands of users using it every single day, experiencing hours, 2, 3, 4 hours inside of our tools every day to put themselves in power. But there was a thing that opened up in our relationship last year that was just not what I expected. It's what I expected, but not what I expected. We had the house, the trips, the jewelry, the cars, the vacations, the date nights, twice a week, the time with the family, all these things. But the one thing we were both after was deep soul fulfillment with each other. And she couldn't feel me, and I couldn't feel her, and both of our souls were like dying. Amidst, you look at a $28 million house, $500,000 cars in the garage. We've rebuilt everything, and yet in it wasn't enough. Like it didn't matter. The house, the cars, people hear this, and I'm like, until you have it and you feel that hollow still. People are like, dude, you run Wake Up Warrior. You teach dudes how to have it all. I was like, yeah, having it all is not enough. If you want freedom, there's a level of inviting God into your world that has to happen. It has to. If it doesn't happen and truth doesn't come with it, then transformation is not possible. And she opened the windows to God in our home last year. And he came into our lives in a way that I was not expecting. That shook me to the core. There was just a certainty and a power in who she is and what she's shown up to be. That without it, like I told you this,
Yeah.
I had rolled the dice on 3 different things. Had she not collided with me when she collided with me, as wild as it is to say, it's very likely that right now we would be in a very fucking painful place.
Yeah.
Financially. And because she showed up, the pivot happened in a radical way, cut and made the moves I had to make to get around some corners based on the fuck ups and decisions I had made in business, some gambling, some rolling of the dice that didn't work. We got around the corner, stabilized our marriage, stabilized the businesses, and then recalibrated ourselves and put ourselves back in a position now to do what I was trying to do a year ago, only now we're doing it from a foundation that has no cracks.
Yeah.
And it's working, and it's moving, and the businesses are flourishing, and the marriage is flourishing, and the family is flourishing. But in between those 2 points, there was a 60-day window of complete and absolute fucking darkness. Terrifying every day. Making moves that I knew our marriage, my family, the businesses, our lives were literally sitting in the fucking balance. But we were both so committed to getting to this new place that it didn't matter.
Did you get like some help for somebody to help you with your relationship? Like,
Yes.
How important was that?
Massive. We meet with a therapist every week for 2 hours. We went down to an hour starting in 2024, but last year, like, he came into our world. His name's Stephen Callis, call him the Wizard. And he sat with us and helped us start, because our biggest problem was we couldn't communicate in a way that had each other understand.
Yeah.
So in the Enneagram, which he uses to help explain, she's a 5, I'm an 8. What this really means is, based upon any assessments we've ever taken, it's like a error, and pretty much highlights never should be married, ever. Never, ever. It's like a unicorn married to a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
It's like, this shit shouldn't happen. The babies are going to make our superheroes, and they're fucking super freaks, but like, this shouldn't happen. So he was important. Massive in our world.
But you guys said you go out twice a week, date nights.
Yeah.
So you described a perfect life. Like you had everything, and you had your date nights. So how does those date nights, like those date nights, isn't that enough like therapy for both of you to like be happy and love each other and all that stuff? What was like the main thing that somebody like a therapist help you into fixing the main thing that was wrong?
So there's levels to everything, right? It's like the first time you get your...
Because I might need the introduction.
Yeah, I'm going to introduce you. You're going to need them. Listen, here's the deal. Like I tell... We're not a place where we have therapy every week, not because we need it, because we want it.
To maintain it, kind of like working out.
It's like going to the gym. It's
you
like,
stop
why
working
would you
out,
not?
You're not going to keep the same physique.
And we had the same story with therapists, which is, oh, you must be fucked up to go to a therapist. Well, we were kind of fucked up, but in a different way. Like, here was a wild part. Sex on fire. Like, we're talking about putting a stripper pole in a bedroom. Danielle's lingeried up, high heel shoes, dancing, music. We're having a blast. Sex is on fucking
But it's
fire.
probably like empty sex, right?
But even some of the sex was connected, but there was this piece that was missing for us, even amidst the vacations and the time. We had built these checklists for each other. She said, I want all of this shit, and I'm saying, I want all of this shit, and we both hit all of the physical world things that the other person was saying they needed to be happy in the marriage. And then we were doing them. And we both were feeling this thing. And she was willing to be honest with me in a way I was not willing to be honest with her in 2009. And had she not been honest with me about where she was and what she was feeling, the chances of us being together and continuing to be together would be zero. Her words were simply this: listen, I'm too high value of a woman to cheat on you. I'll just be done with you. Not an easy thing to hear.
And why did she want to leave you?
She could not feel me. And it's wild because you're like, what the fuck does that mean, she can't feel you? I get it, man. If you're a dude listening, you're like, the fuck does this mean? Because many of you are still dealing with baseline survival needs in your relationship. Do I get to put my penis in my wife's vagina frequently? Do we have enough money to pay the bills? Can we get on the same page with the kids? Do our bodies represent us? Like, we were doing all of that. So we had gotten to a level where our desire for each other was something beyond sex. Like, we wanted to want to be together, and we'd had that feeling when we first met, and it hadn't been there for a long time.
Yeah.
She was not being honest with me about where she was emotionally, and I had become a workaholic and had been face down in another addiction that kept me numb to being able to connect with her. So although we were in space, she could not feel my soul. And because she couldn't feel, she's dying. And I was being warned about this. God was warning me. Plant medicine work I'd been doing for 2 years, I kept getting the same message. Danielle's soul is dying. I just didn't know what the fuck to do about it. So I had to receive it in the language that I listen, which is, I wish you would, motherfucker, and straight to my face. And I was like, okay.
Make that intro for me.
Bro, and he is like, listen, you and your wife, what you two are doing and how you're operating and the pressure you're going to be under based upon where life is now, I don't see how we could not the podcast that we just published on Date Your Wife is a full-on 90-minute war between her and I. And we're listening to it ourselves, and Danielle's like, I'm getting sweaty in the car just like listening to us. And I'm like, I'm getting anxious just listening to us too. This is fucking intense.
While sitting in LA traffic.
While sitting in LA traffic, 2.5 hours coming from our house to get here, which is great. And yet, that conversation can't happen. The open dialogue we have cannot happen without someone like Steven in our world and me having the Warriors way.
Yeah.
Like, between these two, it's impossible. Like, you need like a referee. Steven will put you in the cone of silence for sure. You know what the cone of silence is? Let me tell you, it's really simple. You're sitting in therapy and he'll go, hey, it's all Zoom too. He's like, hey, Albert, guess what? Cone of silence. Then you're going to have to go like this. Because you're going to want to talk. And then he's going to do alternate you. He's going to be alternate Albert with your wife. And he's going to say things the way that you should be saying them to her so that she gets it based upon how she receives her language. And you get to sit and listen and observe. You might sit there for 15 minutes and say nothing. Then he'll come to you and be like, okay, now it's your turn. Cone of silence off. Let's talk. And it's been really good for me because he cross-checks me, he cross-checks Danielle. He'll put Danielle in the corner too. Put her in the cone of, she doesn't get the cone of silence too much because she gets the cone of you need to start talking. Like, here we go. Here's a megaphone to talk.
Yeah. No, I get it because maybe her what was stopping her was she didn't want to be that honest with you.
She couldn't be. She felt she could not. She felt I could not handle the full truth that she would share with me. Yeah. So it was rough, dude. I mean, I got basically 20 years of emotional pain dropped off of my front door in about 2 months straight.
Did you ever imagine your life? What if she would have left me? Like last year, like how where you would be right now if she would have left?
Oh, fucking devastated. Yeah. I mean, dude, I'm a survivor. I'd survive. She's a survivor. She'd survive. Yeah. And we were talking about the drive over. I said, if I died tonight of a heart attack, like, you'd be dating some hot guy like within 6 months. Like, the weird shit about it is that's life. We move on. It is what it is. But like, yeah, devastated. And that was where my fear was last year. I was like, I've worked this hard to build my life if I lose my wife and children after having done all I've done again, and I lose them this time because I fucked it up again, there's just no return from that for me.
Yeah.
Which obviously didn't happen. That's why we're sitting here. But at the same time, it was as close as it's ever been and required walking the razor's edge. But there was a desire. There was just a desire, a demand. And that's the hard part about being in a relationship with anyone who's actually committed to growing, is the fact that as they grow, they won't tolerate your bullshit.
Yeah.
But it goes both ways. So as you rise, you'll stop tolerating bullshit. And as she rises, she stops tolerating bullshit. That's why most guys want to be in a doormat relationship, or they want to be 52 with a 25-year-old girlfriend who laughs at all their jokes and fucks them every day. And, you're so funny. Your cock's so big. She's lying the whole time, but he doesn't care. He's like, dude, I've dealt with this hard shit of being in a relationship with a woman that talks back all day long. I'm going to just be with one that just laughs all the time.
Right.
Boring.
So he's a therapist, right? Is that
yes,
so your therapist, was he the one that told you or taught you, like, hey, you know what, this year you need to I think you said 170 something days that you're going to do something different, you're going to have an offer. So what did he tell you to do that? And then also
he was part of it. Yeah.
So what are you doing different this year? What are those 170 days?
So 131 this is what I figured out. It was 131 working days that I've worked every single year for the last decade. That were like, I would wake up and the entire month was booked. Mm-hmm. Schedule slammed. And it didn't matter how many coaches I had about talking about free time off. It was just, I work. That's what I do. I wake up at 4. I work till like 6, 7, 5 days, sometimes 6 days. And I had worked in date nights and time with the kids and all these other things, but I was still working so much. On Danielle flat out and I last year, she's like, if we do not have time and space with each other, it is impossible for us to connect at the level we're desiring. And if we do not connect at the level that I want and that you want, I am young, I am 40, I make millions, I have life ahead of me. If you're not committed to creating that with me, I don't give a fuck about the house, the cars, any of it, which is wild because that's what she said she wanted forever. So we got to the end of all this physical shit we thought we wanted, only to end up in the same place we were when we were first dating, which is, I just want to spend time with you. But that was impossible with my schedule. So I forced myself in 2023 to make cuts, make turns, make pivots, replace myself, and build a new model inside of my companies that allowed me to maintain the income while at the same time cut 131 working days out of the year, which has been really weird for me. I mean, we're only a couple weeks into the year, but...
Is today one of your non-working days?
Today is a different day. Like, it's like, I had calls this morning, which was not normal. Like, that shouldn't normally happen, but it did. But those were done at like 11:30.
So how did you, would you mind sharing how your model changed so that you have that free time? Because we work a lot both too. And like I do, we run the 4 companies, and then I also coach people. So how the coaching calls, all that stuff. How did you free up yourself that much?
So we started looking and saying, and I started asking some questions.
And keep the income.
Yeah, well, that was a big piece too. So like we had, in the hair business, we have physical products that we sell, and we started accelerating the sales of those products, building better sales systems for that. So that's a simple game. But the big thing was a pivot in identity and what the brand was. So Warrior went from a place where we were training men and women, mostly men, on living this operating system for the last 12 years, right? This is, if you look, business consulting marries up to life coaching, marries up to spiritual training, all in one, this operating system. And this is what I've been training on for the last 12 years. This is what guys invest $500,000 to $1 million a year to work one-on-one. This is why they invest $100,000 to be part of our mastermind groups. It's why our guys are involved in this, is to learn this operating system, because the ROI on living this way, sexually, financially, and spiritually, is off the charts. Like, our results and success is 85 to 90%. But I had to change what I was seeing in the business. So the big pivot we made was, instead of me being the one who is the guy, I flipped the model upside down and have 200 guys. meaning I'm not the guy anymore. I went from the guy that was the star of the movies to the guy who's now the producer of the movies for 200 stars.
Now your business is worth more.
Way more. And the software value's gone up. We made moves in the software to turn into an enterprise app versus just a lifestyle app. Those moves economically for us changed it. Imagine Slack, Evernote, Trello, Monday, and Facebook groups integrated with stacking, Core 4 tracking, power dial tracking, seduction tracking with your wife. All of this is in-house in one app. We're currently working on our API situation with ClickFunnels, so it's a single sign-on so that it's business in a box. It changed because I went from the game of saying, how can I make money helping guys, to how can I help guys make money helping guys?
Yeah.
And I had never done that. I had actually chosen not to do that. I actually made fun of guys who made all their money coaching coaches. I was like, you guys are pussies. You don't actually go help the real world. You just play in the cesspool of helping coaches make money selling coaching. Truth is, these are like models like Wes Watson. I love Wes. Like where the perpetual model is, I'm selling coaching to guys to go be coaches. And I couldn't see the problem. I couldn't see because I had such a fucking story in it. Mm-hmm. There's so many dudes that want to even figure out how the hell you even did this. I fucking want this. Like, I've been doing this shit forever, and I like have deep envy for this whole fucking setup. Every second I'm sitting here, I'm like, God, he's better than me with this shit. It drives me nuts. And it required a shift, which required me to level up and say, I already know how to go take home 7, 8, 9 million a year by myself with a backpack and a couple assistants and a CFO. I can go do that. No problem, because of my skills. You could do the exact same thing. If you said, fuck all to this entire place. He said, everybody's gone. I'm not worried about anyone selling any loans. And you just trained on what you know as a man. To other entrepreneurs to be able to rise and do what you've done, the industry is there. It's so ready for leaders to play in that space. But I was in a scarcity mindset about it in many ways, which was I couldn't see the model to where other guys and gals could do what I'm doing. I was like, I'm me. But with the software tool and with the things we've created and the curriculum, the way it's been built and the way that God led me to build it, I'm watching it happen right now. Like, dude, we have guys and gals stepping in and launching coaching businesses, using the Warriors Way system, helping men and women that are doing 150, 200, 300,000 in their first 3 or 4 months, doing this, and they've never done coaching before. Now, a lot of them, to their own credit, are successful entrepreneurs. So they're like guys who are bolting it on. But they, at the end of the day, kind of like you. Are you a mortgage and real estate guy?
No.
No. You are a dude that wants to lead and inspire people. And it's like me. That's how I was when I ran my mortgage companies, too. Yeah. Investors Paradigm was the name of our companies. Like, I sold the Paradigm Coach, which is like coaching programs to our students, our clients. We were selling investor packages and learning and education. So that was the biggest switch. But that pivot required me to look at tools, scale, and we instead of me.
Yeah.
Which was different than building a sales team. Building a sales team is still about me. Building a model that allowed you to go. And, you know, in mortgages, you can do that because you have an income opportunity for people. Mm-hmm. We were helping guys make more money, but not under this engine this way.
Yeah. Brother, this has been a great... a lot of great value from like business to marriage to ups and downs, emotion. Like I love this one. This one's one of my favorite ones. I think everybody's gonna love this one. And before we wrap up, I have a few things. So, what is your plan by 60? So I know you're from birth to 20 is a life. Mm-hmm. Then 20 to 40, you go on your second run. Yeah. And then right now you're in like your, what I like to call third run, 40 to 60. And then obviously the fourth run, 60 to 80. Some people are fortunate to live more than that, but that's how I see my life. Mm-hmm. And right now you have quite a few years till you reach 60. So what is your goal to accomplish by the age of 60? What are you in a rush that you want to make sure that this is going to be Garrett White at 60?
So it won't be a question billionaire. Like, it'll be multi-billionaire by that point. I already know this. period, the end. I'm surrounded and live with billionaires. It's not if this is my destiny, period. The flip side of this is the bigger thing, which isn't billions. It's the fact that Warrior as an operating system and me sitting on the backside with a board of directors supporting tens of thousands of men and women leading inside of churches, men's space, women's space, personal development, Warrior will become the preeminent and the dominant training system in corporate America, in churches, in personal masterminds, entrepreneurs. Everywhere we currently see coaching being offered, you're going to see a crest on the shoulder, on the sleeve, on the back of 90% of the coaches that run the game, consultants that run the game, which is this operating system coming in backside and saying, let us help. The airport model. Yeah. I may not own the planes coming in. Those will be owned by other people bringing in and using the platform, but we'll own all the airports. And I see that as the legacy move that lets me make a difference beyond my life. A lot of people and coaches, they build things that are them.
Yeah.
Like Warrior's been bigger than me from the beginning. And by the time I'm 60, most people won't know who I am.
Is that kind of the reason why you chose Warriors as a name instead of Garrett or instead of White?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
You want a company name.
Yep. There's guys right now running brands. I mean, it's like their name on the chest, and they are the brand, and that's great. Tony Robbins is Tony Robbins, right? And there's guys like want to have their name be the thing, and that's great. I want my legacy to be found in the impact through an idea. Mm-hmm. And an idea will live forever.
Yeah.
My name and who I am is what it is. Like, it has a lifespan to it. But ideas can live and be reborn over and over and over again. And I want to be connected to the idea that God used me to bring about change that lasted and pivoted things for hundreds of years.
That's awesome. Garrett, what's one thing that nobody has ever heard you say, like one story that you never said publicly?
All right, one story. So this.
I know you're rated R, so feel free to.
This is a denture. I've had cancer, and this I've had for longer than I haven't. When I first had a denture, it was a shitty denture, and I had to put it in my pocket when I would eat, because if I tried to eat with it, it would clank around. It was a pain in the ass. So I put it in my pocket. One time when we went to eat, at least I thought I put it in my pocket, we went to the IHOP with my friends, and we left. And I realized I didn't have my denture in my pocket. I had no idea where the fuck it was. So where the fuck is my denture, dude? This is traumatizing because then my lip sucks in, I talk weird, it's like a problem. So I'm nervous, I'm stressed. I'm like, my friends go back to the IHOP. I'm like, go back to the IHOP. They're like, what, dude? What happened? I was like, just go back to the fucking IHOP. And I was like, what's up? So I'm walking into the IHOP, about to ask a question as a 24-year-old at the front desk. And I come walking in, I said, I'm going to ask you a question. It's kind of weird. This young girl's looking at me, and I was like, did you happen to find a denture? And she looks at me and she goes, actually, we did. She takes out a little to-go box, and they've drawn like teeth, like a giant smiley teeth, and inside is the to-go box is my denture. So this has been part of my life, having dentures, and along with that, my greatest fear is that when I'm playing with my denture and I'm taking a piss, I'm going to drop it in the urinal. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. Garrett, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
So proud to have a new friend right here.
Beautiful, bro.
We've been trying to meet for the longest, so I'm very happy that this came through.
Thank you.
We're gonna do the couples podcast, but before that, where can people find Garrett White? What's your favorite platform, or where do you communicate with the audience?
Listen, I do most of my stuff on Instagram. You can check us out at wakeupwarrior.com. All the tools, etc. There, we have a free 30-day trial. You can test out our software, all the curriculum, everything that 60,000 plus men have been using over the last 12 years to have it all and be free. If we can support you with that, great. Go check it out for free at wakeupwarrior.com. We've also got an amazing podcast that we run with my wife called Date Your Wife, as well as The Real White House, which are our two podcasts that can be found in any podcast directory. You get to hear my kids talk about the truth. You get to hear my wife drop bombs, mostly on my face. about how I'm seeing things incorrectly. She's only right 83.6% of the time. The rest of the time, I'm right. So we've got those 2 podcasts that are amazing, as well as wakeupwarrior.com.
And you guys are going to coach us right now.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time.
Thank you.
Beautiful, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah.